was swimming when I was a young girl. And exercises, physical education was a very good side of me. That was basically my hobby.
Was that gymnastics?
Gymnastics, yes, gymnastics and swimming. Basically, that's what I liked most. I also like singing music. I like music too, but I think predominantly is I never developed my musical talent, so if I had any, played the piano a little bit, but not much. Like singing, but I think I could say gymnastics I liked very much. And later I taught gymnastics, really.
Okay. Going back to the time when the Germans came and you remembered that day as being so frightening and so horrible, how did things begin to change from that time on for you? You moved to Pest.
First of all, we had a lot of fear in us. And this fear is, unfortunately, takes me even today. It affects me even today, the fear, that inbuilt fear that you had. And in the beginning, we still went to school. The shop was still open, and then gradually we moved over. There was always new laws came out as far as the Jews are concerned, and we moved over to my grandmother into a certain place in Pest. It was a very small little flat that we've been. I don't know how we managed to be there, all of us. My mother and the two of her children, and my grandparents and an uncle. The uncle was taken away, unfortunately. He has never come back. But it was a very primitive and small place. But, we managed.
This was the Yellow House?
That was a Yellow Star house, yeah. It was an outside toilet. There was no bathroom. But, in the time of need, that was the main thing. We were together.
And how long did you stay in that place for?
Well, we stayed there. We moved there, I think, there around about June time. And we stayed there till about, not 100% sure, but I think it's around about August or September. But always used to get out. With my mother used to run for her life, sort of thing. She took my brother and myself with the Yellow Star, and we used to, we had to wear, from age 6, I had to wear a Yellow Star.
It was sewn on to you, was it?
It was sewn on, yes. Yeah. It was made from a piece of yellow cloth, and it has been sewn on.
Did you have to make the star yourself? Or
yeah, we made it ourselves. Yeah. And we had it sewn onto our dress, and to differentiate that we are Jews. And my mother always used to look for possibilities of escaping somehow. There were all kinds of theories. First of all, some people denounced that they are Jews. They became, they wanted to be Gentiles, or they take new papers, and change their identity and color their hair, or went away somewhere, wherever they could, to try to cover their Jewishness. Mm. And my mother her aim was to stay alive, and she always used to tell me, whatever happens, you always have to say, even if I'm not there, even if you are parted, you have to save your lives. To stay alive. So there were all kinds of schemes. There was like houses which you went in. They were sort of protected houses, they called, So there were some Jews concentrated and used to go into those protected houses. And I remember it was, we used to go there and stay there and sleep there, and so many people cramped one on top of the other. Until, and then also from there, Jews were taken away.
How were they picked out?
They come and they look for young women. They come, these, in October 1994, there was a new regime, and the Saloshi came to power, who was, I don't exactly remember the and not exactly know the historical facts, but Saloshi came to power. I think Horthy was disposed, and Saloshi came to power, and he was very anti-Semitic, and this was a very cruel anti-Semitic movement, a very cruel anti-Semitic, I have to say. And whoever they just could, you know, they took to the young people, they gunned down young Jews, they took them to the Danube and cut their head off. They did all kind of atrocities.
Yeah. You were talking about the cruelty of and the anti-Semitism of the Saloshi government.
Yeah, it was terrible. So we really were more afraid of these Hungarian Jewish Cross people than from the Germans. They were more cruel, and they just could, you know, they just made fun of us, and just for fun they used to kill just young boys, you know, like in their 16, 17-year-old, even younger. It was a big fun to kill a Jew. It was nothing. They enjoyed it, did it for their enjoyment.
And you saw it happening, did you?
Well, I saw plenty of dead people in the street. I saw lying when we were liberated. What I saw happening is when they came once to the place where we stayed with my grandparents, and they were looking for my uncle. They looked for a young man at the time. And my uncle was hidden in the toilet outside, in the outside toilet. And somehow they found him and they took him away. He never came back. Then in the other time, when they came for young women, and they took away all the young women in the house. I stayed in the whole building. It wasn't a very big building, but there were quite a few families, and all the young mothers went away. So they had to go, and my mother, and I was crying so much, I remember that, crying so much. And my brother and myself stayed with my grandparents, and I asked my late grandfather, what shall I do? I want to pray that my mother should come back. And he opened the Sefer Tehillim, which is the songs, I don't know when you know Sefer Tehillim, and he showed me a perek that I should read. I read it 9 times. I remember then I was already 8, struggling to read it through, and I cried and I prayed and I prayed. That was the first time that I was saying Tehillim, my first experience. And I said it, and in the end, in the evening, my mother came back. She came back. She felt probably my cries and my prayers, and they were taken away, and wherever they were taken to a concentration place, and she fainted, and she just ran away. She just ran away, and she came back. She came back to us.
So she had been taken with that group of
She
young
was taken
women.
away, and she came back in the evening.
She was the only one who
She
came
was the
back
only
from
one who
them?
came back from that group. And I remember all the other children were so upset because the mother was taken away. Yeah.
And did anything, and she stayed with you from
She stayed
that
with
point?
us. Then what happened is that my father was also changed position, and he ran away from his division.
In the
Because in the munkaszolgálat,
Right.
yes, in the
labor.
labor service.
Right.
And in Budapest, there was a house which was built from glass. It was a glass house, and that was under Swiss protection. It was, I think, that Wallenberg was involved in this, and about 2,400 Jews were hiding there. And because my father was a well-known person, because we had that shop and a lot of people knew him, and he went there and was standing outside, and somebody who knew him grabbed him and put him in. He actually went for that purpose because he wanted to go there for hiding, to be in the hiding place. And we got to know somehow that he was there. And he took us in, myself first. We went there and they were just opened the door and knew this was a hiding place and just pulled us in.
So you had been in the Yellow Star House and your father...
For the last, I think 2 months or 6 weeks of the war, we stayed there in that glass house in the Vadász utca. It was very well known. And my mother, my brother and myself and my father, so we were all together until the liberation.
So you said it was a glass house. Was it a glass house?
It was a glass house. It was built from glass, but it was very strong glass, yes. And then there were extensions. There were the basement. That was not from glass. It's just only the actual building was built from glass, yes.
So there was no kind of brickwork or stonework in it? It was virtually...
There probably was. There probably was. But at that time, that's how we knew it, the glass house. And we went back 2 years ago. It looked so different. Didn't recognize it at all. It's not like the way I remembered.
But it's still there, the sensation.
It's still there, yes.
And what was your life like in the glass house? What was that like?
Well, it's very confined. We were, there were, in the glass house, there was the office, and then there were people all around it, downstairs and upstairs, on the loft and on the basement, and then next door in the upstairs in the loft and in the basement. And there were, like cliques, like there was people who were the religious ones, and there were the non-religious one. There was the Shomer, the Shomer Tzair for the basement part of it. And then, it was so funny that how we all sort of divided. But people slept, where they used to. It was also, I think, a glass factory because there were sheets of glass were, in certain compartments, and people slept on those compartments, up and in the bottom. That's how we used to sleep, like animals.
So every possible place was taken up?
Yeah, every possible, yes.
How many people did you say there were in
2,400 people. I don't know where the food came from, but we had plenty of food. We were not hungry.
Was it given to you, the food, or did you have to...
No, it was given to us. I mean, we had to queue up and it was given to us. But there were no sanitary possibilities, a lot of lice, and it was terrible.
So there was 2,400 people in it. It must have been It must have been a very big place.
Well, it was, as I said, they took all the neighbors, neighbors' houses as well. It was organized. And so we were one on top of the other.
And this was under...
That was protected.
Swedish.
Once they wanted to come in, and I think the one who organized it was taken away and he never came back. He was taken up to the Gestapo house. They wanted to come in and take us all out. Actually, that day we were all queued up outside. Everybody had to get out. Everyone had to get out. All the Jews out.
And that in German?
No, yeah, but that was in Hungarian more. All out and give yourself up and all out to the seat. Anyone who is not coming out is going to be killed. So there were some people killed there in that place, and I remember my mother and I were up in the loft and we went out. I remember giving my hand, doing like this with my hand, and we were standing outside in the queue. And my mother, because they were saying that one is going to Bergen-Belsen, one of the queue is going to go to Bergen-Belsen, and the other one is going to go to the Danube. They're going to be killed. So my mother said to me that when we came to the first corner, you just go away, run away, go into the house, save your life, don't go, just save your life, wherever you are, save your life, even if you have to be parted, you just save your life. She was always holding my younger brother in her hand. But then came an order and they had to let us go back. So we all went back, but there were a few killings that day. I can't remember precisely what happened. I just see these pictures in front of me.
So the order came from, do you know where the order came from?
From the Gestapo. I mean, they had to let us back because we were under protection. I think the Swiss government came. It was or Swiss or Swedish, I'm not sure. I think Wallenberg was also involved in this. Probably he was. Yeah.
Okay. In September, my name is Sharon Tyler. I'm interviewing Judit Abelesz, and this is take 2. You were saying about that you then got the go ahead to go back into the protected house, and so that sort of time that it seemed so frightening. That incident was over for a bit.
Yeah.
What other, do you remember other experiences in the protected house?
Yes, it was. Well, we heard the news and we heard the gunshots. They were so, and the planes and the bombs. So it was quite frightening when we know that it was bombing. But it also gave us hope that the Russians are near and we are going to be liberated soon. So this fear, combined with the hope that we'll survive. But every day was a different day. We always had to. We never knew what was going to happen tomorrow. And this was the same. Everybody tried to make politics, or not so much politics, to work out, theories, how things are going, when we are going to be liberated, and how shall we save our life, and what shall we do, and that was basically what we. But basically we're together most of the times. So I used to be very close to my mother and not to wander about, or used to change positions. When we were scared, we went down, and from bombing and things like that.
Change positions in the house.
In the house, yes.
Did you have a set place that was your place, or
there was, and then also when that day when that raid took place, and there was a house next door which was closed, and there were a lot of people behind it. And they wanted to break down that door, and wouldn't let them in. And they didn't manage, because by the time they would have come to it, then we all had to come back. But if they would have found out how many people were hiding in that building next door, I don't think we would be able to get away with what we got away with, because they didn't know how many people really were hiding in that place.
Mm. Did you mix much with the other people did you get to know them, the other people in the...
Yes, some of them, but I don't remember them. And it's funny that sometimes I meet people from the same background that I come, about the same age as me, and ask, where were you during the war? And say, I was here. Oh, yes, I was there too, but you don't remember anything.
Mm.
It's impossible.
Was your father with you at this time, or was your father...
Yeah, he was with us most of the time, yes.
How come he was back and not still in labour camp?
Well, as I said to you earlier, he ran away. He just ran away, and he wasn't caught, luckily.
Right.
So, and he went to this area. He knew about this place because a few people, were hiding there whom he knew. And he went there.
Right.
And they saw him outside, wandering outside. They just caught him and grabbed him in. So he went in there. And he was working there inside with the food. So when they're delivering food, he always used to come out to take the food in. I don't know how it was all organized. Mm. And he left a message for us, and then he's coming out always at that and that time. He is there, and then he can take us in. They didn't really favor bringing more and more people in, because it was so crowded already. Mm. And, when it comes to saving life, everybody wants to save one's own life, So, anyway. But we went in, and we stayed there till the end of the war.